I think we're getting it right, first off because we, particularly on the PPPs, because we know our strengths, but we also know what our weaknesses are and where certain services are better left to be executed by the private sector, and leveraging the private sector, right, in all our work is a very good thing, right, for us to serve our citizens in the city the best we can.
Smart City PHL is the City of Philadelphia's official Smart City initiative. It is housed in the Office of Innovation and Technology, which is the City of Philadelphia's central IT department. And through this initiative, we are looking to strategically position ourselves to be able to better support our departments so that as a whole, as our city continues to grow and begin to adopt smart technology, we can continue to be able to support the sustainability of our city.
And so in the Kenney administration, we really have prioritized the efficient, effective government, wanting to improve our public safety. And when we talk about public safety, it's not just about police and fire, but it's also talking about the relationship that our public safety officers have with our communities as well. We want to make sure that as we pursue a Smart City initiative that we're leveraging a triple bottom line approach. So it's just as much about social equity as much it is about economic development and opportunities, as much it is about our environmental sustainability. We want to make sure that we are being good stewards to our world as well. And then we also have in public safety body cams, gunshot detection, all that good stuff. Currently, all these things are happening in their own departments. And so what we want to see from a Smart City effort is to say, how are all these different things that are going on in information and communication technology, how are they going to work together? Where are the opportunities for us to actually collaborate? Is it a platform? Is it a sensor? Is it a video camera? Are we going to talk about how we're going to share different types of real estate and infrastructure so we can deploy different types of things? There's a lot of different conversations that need to happen, and it's a very exciting time to be in this space. But again, we want to make sure that we're respectful of each department, the work that they're doing and the mission that they have that they have taken the call to do. And we want to make sure that we're doing that more cohesively moving forward so that as Smart City continues to build its momentum and new technologies emerge, that we're getting ready to be able to continue growing that much larger in Philadelphia.
Wireless connectivity is becoming the fourth utility. It's a utility and it's a basic need and service that everyone has to have, and it's an enabler for everything to happen. Just like electricity is and water for communities in order to have a quality of life, wireless connectivity is for everything from smartphones to connected devices is a necessary way to make all the smart city infrastructure work together. It gets rid of a lot of wires and connectivity problems, and it supports mobility and a shared resources society that we're all striving to achieve. While we specialize in cellular technology, densification and coverage, particularly for in-building, underground, smart venues, there's also new technologies in the unlicensed spectrum or the low power wide area network technology for small sensors. Those sensors can be very low cost, they can be battery powered, and they provide data that we didn't have before. But not just one technology, it's a combination of a broad spectrum of technology combined together to really impact the user at the end.
Explain why densification is important.
Densification is important in particularly cities because there are more and more things being connected. We have a divergence in the type of connection in that there's a lot more devices. Some of them are very low speed, but there's a lot of them, so there's a scalability. And then there's an increasing demand for things like video and other high bandwidth applications on smartphones or on autonomous vehicles or other platforms. So that's driving the demand for bandwidth. And in a cellular technology in particular, densifying is a way that we can increase the scale of things and the volume of content that will be connected.
We're going to have to manage the exponential growth in the requests to use the city's infrastructure, and we're going to have to do it in a way that's on a level playing field, that gives various vendors and applications equal access, at the same time as giving the city's legitimate public safety and traffic management, for example, needs priority so that we're able to maintain order and respond.
Obviously, with the smart vehicles, the connected autonomous vehicles, the cellular carriers are a key player, not just an enabler. They are critical in the development of connected vehicles. They'll be playing, right now they play with 4G, but as 5G rolls out and it becomes ubiquitous, it becomes the nation standard, the amount of data and the speed at which the data needs to be transferred is immense, and 5G is a key enabler to facilitate that. So if you just look at the one car traveling autonomously in one day, and this comes from CEO of Intel, they project that there's 4 terabytes of data that would be transferred from the car to the surrounding environment. So there's got to be a way not only to process that amount of data, there's got to be a way to transmit over wirelessly over that data, either whether it's 5G or wirelessly. And you also have to have facilities to do data analysis. So big data, neural networks, deep learning, all those come into play with that amount of data. So there's a couple components that go into what we call a mesh network. One would be the short-range communication, DSRC, where the nodes are communicating on a short-range basis. And then when you get to a mesh point where you can have larger amounts of data offloaded, that would be a mesh network where you have a 5G or Wi-Fi to transfer large amounts of data.
The concept of small cells has definitely brought focus on trying to streamline and standardize deployment processes. So that helps. But I think when you look at IoT and 5G deployment, some of the challenges are still going to be the same. Find the right location, find a willing landlord who wants to work with you, make sure the location makes sense for your clients, and make it through the regulatory and permitting process to bring the site up as quickly as possible. Convergence is what we see in the communications sector. And with the discussions about 5G, what's beginning to happen is that content is sort of becoming key, and there is a platform of delivering content that's sort of converging with the wireless carriers and how it's getting delivered. We're hearing conversations about OTT, and there is the fiber that's now required in order to provide the bandwidth, the low latency, and the high definition video that it's becoming the key focus for 5G. And so
for Digital Bridge, the focus is really on the 4 pillars, as they like to call it, of infrastructure. The first being towers, second being small cell and DAS networks, third being data centers, and really the fourth being fiber and connectivity.
City of Denver, we worked with Verizon in developing what's called the City Pole. And City Pole is a smart pole that was developed by our group to really fit into the architecture of the City of Denver. Very slender, very little impact to the right-of-way, and what really transpired is that particular structure, we worked closely with the city and through Verizon, and it was accepted by 19 different agencies in the City of Denver, and basically has been a success as far as we certainly have been told by Verizon and the city in terms of an unobtrusive smart pole. The pole, the benefit is it's a node. It's carrying a node, a wireless node, typically a small cell. In this case, at about 35 feet in the air, and very low power requirements. And it's providing coverage throughout the city of Denver. Now, there's 340 of these going into Denver, so you can imagine it. If it's not designed well, it's going to be something that really stands out poorly. And so a smart pole generically, though, can go much further than just having a node for wireless coverage. It's a great vehicle as well for lighting, replacing lighting, LED lighting, and as well as a lot of sensors that can be added to these poles. And that's kind of where things are going, adding sensors that can be used for security, public safety, and not just more wireless coverage.
5G technologies, obviously we have a role in providing some infrastructure, and we're interested in smart cities. We believe we're one of the leaders in New York City deploying and hosting smart cities solutions. So I think it's part of our effort to remain in communications with all the interested parties and stakeholders so we can learn from each other and plan the very best systems going forward.
Okay, and the New York State Wireless Association, have you ever been to a previous event?
This is the first time they invited me. I was glad to get the invitation and receive all the right clearances to be among all of the people from the various sectors in the city.
The iPhone was introduced in 2007. The data traffic on AT&T's network has grown 250,000%. And we're not just connecting your home computer and mobile phone and tablet anymore. We are connecting thermostats and refrigerators, watches and cars, shipping containers and lampposts. We're using the mobile internet to make houses smarter and cities smarter, and shippers and businesses worldwide smarter.
Ultimately, there will be multiple paths for us to connect, right, all these devices, and it's going to be maybe a blend of 4G LTE, eventually 5G, radio, microwave, you name it, right? It's going to be various ICT solutions that we'll have to stitch together to get the coverage, right, that we need. And I don't think that's any different for any major city. We can't do it ourselves. But certainly, there's a huge value proposition for us to build our own network and connect at least the very dense, right, parts of our city.
I mean, there's a vast new frontier here that is going to require a lot of infrastructure, and the smart cities are the ones that invite, in an intelligent fashion, the infrastructure providers in so that they can get the services they need to their citizens.
There's a lot of people talking about 5G these days, and rightfully so. This is the future that is coming. However, we're still busy implementing 4G, and we think that there's still a lot of people haven't seen the benefits of the 4G because they simply wasn't deployed. So the 5G is something that's coming up on the horizon, and we definitely